Can one person be held criminally responsible for another taking their own life? In 2017, the state of Massachusetts said they sure the fuck can in the groundbreaking case of Massachusetts v. Carter, where a young woman was convicted of manslaughter over the self-inflicted death of her alleged boyfriend. We will discuss their 2-year relationship and the key moment in which the prosecution says made her liable for his death. This episode of Criminal AF contains serious subject matter relating to mental health and suicide. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health issues, please seek help through a licensed professional therapist. If you are having thoughts of suicide, call your region's emergency service number immediately. I am here to tell you that you are not alone, you matter, and you are loved. I'm Dave Jari.
I'm Garrett Corder.
And this is Criminal as Fuck. What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Criminal AF. Once again, I am Dave Jari, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Garrett Corder.
How we doing?
We'd like to give out a few huge shout-outs to our newest members of the Debauched. And they are Rachel Bagby Langston, Alex Teal, Lindsay M., and Cassie Solis.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all so much. Now, you can become one of the Debauched as well by joining our Patreon. There are 5 tiers, and you can join for as little as $2 per month for general support. Those who select our $5 tier and above will get all of our content. All of it. That includes our mini-series called 5 Minute Murder, where I discuss a true crime story in 5 minutes or less. Our new Patreon-only bi-weekly podcast called Random AF.
Which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Where Garrett and I drunkenly discuss random topics while trying to be coherent, unlike I'm doing right now. As well as the upcoming Dreadful AF,
hey,
which will be a monthly collaboration between us and John and Joe over at Spread the Dread Podcast.
Oh, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
We had a nice little Zoom call the other day,
Yeah.
Discussing what we're going to do. And I just, from that thing, like, I love how John actually said something that resonated with me.
Yeah.
You guys are like marijuana. We're like heroin.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do some heroin, baby. So that's definitely going to be for our, true fans that don't. It's not going to be. So I don't know if you guys if you go check out Spread the Dread over at on all podcast platforms, but they're definitely a little bit more raunchier than us. So it's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be very fun.
Yeah, we're like the boardwalk in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And they're the alleys. So.
It's a good place to score some dope.
So sometimes it's nice and to be out in the open, and sometimes you just gotta skirt down the alleyway.
I mean, the alley sounds more fun to me.
So you can receive all of this by becoming one of the Debauched on Patreon, or if you want to become a barista and buy us 1 or more coffees to help support the podcast with a one-time donation, like our friend Holly Moe. Just go to criminalafpodcast.com/support or follow the link in episode description. To continue our podcast spotlight for this week, we'd like to introduce you to our friend Debbie over at True Crime University.
So you like to listen to people talk about crime, but did you ever wonder why criminals do the things they do? Like what makes them tick? My name is Debbie, and I'm the professor at True Crime University. Join me in the classroom Thursdays, wherever you get your podcasts, for intellectual discussions about crime, psychology, and why criminals do what they do. See you there.
Now, True Crime University, they really dive deep into these cases, and Debbie does an amazing job, telling these stories.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And if I may add, that she does like to use the word fuck. So, as I say, anybody who uses profanity in their podcast, we fuck with them.
We don't conform to these algorithms that knock down the swearing podcasts, all right? Fuck them.
That's right. So go support True Crime University wherever you listen to podcasts. I think that about covers it for everything. So now, for those of you joining us for the first time, this is a true crime podcast.
Dun, dun, dun.
There will be talk of murder, rape, torture, assault, and pretty much any crime that would haunt you nightmares at any given moment. There will be detailed descriptions of said events, and there will be some vulgar language.
Like fuck.
We understand that Criminal AF is not for everyone, but we just ask that you at least give it a listen. If it's not for you, hey, thanks for checking it out. But if it is,
Welcome to the debauchery.
Mail call. Mail call.
God, the fucking I love Hicks. Do you know there's an actual competition, pig calling competition that they do?
Really?
In I think it's either Alabama or Tennessee. I don't know which one it is exactly. Don't quote me. But it's women get up on stage and they call pigs.
Really?
Yep. And then there's like first, second, third place.
And do the pigs come?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I used to do that when I was in my 20s at the bar. Anyway, mail call. All right. Prior to each episode, we post a Ask Us Anything on our Instagram for a chance of your questions to be answered on air. And we've been getting some pretty good questions rolling in. Now, this week, Iron Chickadee, she wanted to know, how was the hangover? Last week was the funniest episode ever, despite the subject matter. So she's referring to episode 24, Love on the Rocks. And Garrett and I,
Oh, that was nothing.
we probably consumed just a little.
Yeah, you guys should have saw by the time we were done with the podcast. We got upstairs and kept going. That wasn't even that. The podcast was like the first couple hours in.
Oh, yeah. So
We're continuing the show.
we did receive some suggestions that, people don't like to condone drinking. However, they would like to see it incorporated more into the podcast. So
Well, that's why they're going to check out Random AF on
Random
our Patreon.
AF,
You know what I mean?
Random AF. Oof, we're going to be shit-faced for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, anyway, all right. So thank you, Iron Chickadee. We did feel pretty good the next day. I haven't had a hangover in a long time.
Like a good one.
A good one.
Yeah.
Like waking up, throwing up everywhere. Yeah, I haven't had that.
As long as I get McDonald's breakfast in the morning,
Grease.
It doesn't matter how much I drink, what I drink. I can switch dark, light, different mixers, whatever. As long as I can make it into that McDonald's drive-thru and get a bacon, egg, and cheese, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I can recover from anything.
All right, next up is Elizabeth Manor, and she says, "Can you two be any more entertaining?" Oh, well, thank you, Elizabeth. Which infamous criminal in history is your favorite?
I'm gonna go outside the normal talking points on this podcast. My favorite criminal of all time would have to be Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pablo.
A true gangster. Subtle gangster. And the amount of cash that he was making.
Wasn't it like billions?
It was billions. It was billions. Yeah, it was something ridiculous. It was to the point where he had more money than the entire, Colombian
world.
Yeah. The entire country of Colombia. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just that. It was the way he kept his power too. It was fucking donating money to political people, going to the park and just dropping off bags of money to people so that nobody even would rat on him, do anything like that. It was, I don't know. It's just the operation, the pure organization skills that guy had to put on what he did, and for so long.
Yeah.
And he was a killer, because maybe there's a lot of people that died on the hands of that cartel.
I would say yes. That is true. Now, for me, mine would probably be along similar lines. Not so much a cartel, but 30s, 40s, 50s.
I feel like you're a sucker for that
mafia.
time. Yeah, you like that time period. You're you know what I mean?
Back when the mafia was the mafia,
Yeah. Yeah.
So pretty much anything during Lucky Luciano.
It's almost a shame that Rico came around. You know what I mean?
I know.
Fucking it's basically it's basically like they couldn't actually do police work, so then they just were like, hey, let's just make a cheat code real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what is this? Rico. He knows this guy? Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
He was there? Okay. Sloppy police work.
Yeah. I'm just absolutely fascinated with the mafia. So thank you very much, Elizabeth. Also, we have Ian Turner. Oh, a boy Ian from over there in Britland. Across the sea.
He's the one that yelled at me for not liking Monty Python, right?
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fuck Monty Python.
Oh, he says it again. Yikes. All right, Ian, let's hear it. All right, I have always had a love of serial killer movies. What are your favorites? Either factual or fictional? Ooh. I have mine.
Go ahead.
Seven. Fucking love that movie.
Yeah, Seven.
I love that movie.
What's in the box?
Yeah.
Seven was great.
Box? Yeah.
Seven was good. Oh my god, I don't even want to say it, but it has to be Silence of the Lambs, dude. It has. It's top 5 movies of all time.
Oh no,
me.
it is. Yeah.
Like I know it's everybody says Silence of the Lambs, but it's dude, Hannibal Lecter? Come on.
Yeah.
And honestly, Buffalo Bill stole that whole fucking movie at the end of the day. It puts the lotion on the skin or it gets the hose.
It gets the hose.
Just the thought of being trapped in a well and then like a guy dancing around in a skin at the top. That's fucking terrifying. Just throwing lotion down on you knowing that he's going to skin you the next day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got to be him. Yeah. Silence the Lambs.
So those are our answers. Thank you very much, Ian. And that'll do it for this round of mail call. So once again, prior to each episode, we post a Ask Us Anything on our Instagram for a chance for your questions to be answered on air. And what do we got next?
We're going to Florida. All right, Dave. We've been doing a lot of Florida women. You know what I mean?
Women. Yeah,
we've been. We've had a couple of them in the last couple of episodes. So we're gonna keep that streak going.
Okay.
Florida woman was arrested for indecent exposure after using a puddle in the library's parking lot to give herself a bath, exposing her bare breasts, buttocks, in public area.
Pubic area?
In a public area.
In a public area. Okay.
Yeah. We're like, come on, we're taking baths in the library parking lot, baby. All right, I don't even know how to say this. Immokalee, Florida. See, we just added to the list of fucking weird Florida town names. Worcestershire. On February 7th, several visitors alerted the manager of Immokalee Library about the public display, and upon investigating, found a 43-year-old Catherine Still naked. Police said Still was using a puddle in the library's parking lot for her bath, and her bare breasts, buttocks, and pubic area. It was pubic area. And pubic area were on a full display to library guests and passing traffic on North Whiteford Street. The Collier County Sheriff's Department were quickly to call to the scene and instructed Still to put on her clothes. She promptly obeyed, and the deputies arrested her on a charge of indecent exposure.
Indecent? Okay.
Dude, you know, hear me out.
Yeah.
I don't condone drug use at all, but meth has got to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Like if I could go back in time
to just completely be out of it, to the point where you're willing to take a full-blown bath in a puddle in the library parking lot on Main Street. You like, where are you? You're in a different universe at that point.
You're like checked out.
In the famous words of the Chappelle Show, cocaine's a hell of a drug. Charlie Murphy. Wild though.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just don't understand. It's crazy.
Was there not a river around?
No, it was just.
I mean,
ew, and you know,
it's
damn
Florida,
well,
so you know there's like some body of water.
Think about city public areas, parking lots. It's probably like a fucked up.
It's like a pothole.
A pothole, right? There's like the film of gas.
Yeah.
Like
the
dirt and oil of cars, and like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, and
She's
Florida
like,
rains. Oh no.
And she's getting deep in those crevices too.
Knowing her though, she's not singing like a Disney princess. She's like making weird.
Gonna get down in the crease here.
Oh, we're definitely gonna add her mugshot onto the Criminal AF Instagram. So take a look and check this beauty out.
Imagine driving by and just like cruising, and you got your kids in the car, and they're like, "Daddy, look!" And you look over, and she's squatting over a puddle.
Oh, splashing!
Yes, splashing up in her cooch area. She's got to rinse off.
Daddy, what is she doing? What do you tell your kids at that point?
She must have had that unfresh feeling.
Yeah, I mean, everybody needs to take a bath.
Yeah, gotta take a bath.
You start
parking lot.
You start singing nursery rhymes about bath to the kids. Where did you learn how to? Yeah. Some crackhead on the side of the road. That's how I learned how to wash my cooter.
Next thing you know, you get a call from the school. Your son is washing himself in a puddle.
At recess.
At recess, you might want to come take him. Oh, man, that's crazy.
Never a dull story out of Florida. Let's just say that.
Criminal AF will be back after this quick break. Oh, man. All right. So, this episode is very, how should I say?
It's infuriating.
Infuriating.
It makes you actually want to legit kill somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and the worst part is you want to kill somebody, and on top of that, you just want to like reach out to this poor kid.
Right. Like,
This poor boy, just somebody. He needed one person. One person to know what was going on. I don't know. It's just this story annoys me.
So yeah, you'll know what we mean once we start getting into it. Here's chapter 1.
This is Conrad Henry Roy III reporting about social anxiety. Social anxiety to me is the inability to function properly in a manner that you want to in social situations. And one of the things that I've realized is not all eyes are on you at all times. People don't necessarily judge you, particularly in a situation where you're not feeling very good about yourself. You're making mistakes. Like, people understand that you come across as awkward. They're not going to judge you, make fun of you. Like, that's just who you are as an individual. And the quicker you are to realize who you are, the better. Like, you don't have to be this amazing, like, thought out, drawn out, like, superhero, like Incredible Hulk, Superman, I don't know, the people that are portrayed in the media as, like, perfect, when they're not perfect. I mean, if you take drugs, serious cocaine, like, Bieber, oh my God, he's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. You just have to accept yourself as an individual.
Mental health is a subject that carries a stigma, and it shouldn't. There isn't a person in the world that hasn't experienced some period in their life where they felt a little less than themselves. I'm not ashamed to admit that I have had periods of struggling with my mental health. Most often, you will never know if someone is struggling. People who have dealt with these issues throughout their life have become very keen on how to disguise it. Being told to toughen up, it'll pass, you're overreacting, only hardens your shell and makes it harder for you to let people in, to know what truly is going on through your mind, and in turn, make you feel more and more alone. If there is one message that I can get across when talking about mental health, is it that people need to be more compassionate. In today's world of online trolls, neighbors growing more distant, jobs focusing more on the bottom line, and schools focusing more on reaching state test scores than reaching the hearts and minds of children, people have grown to be desensitized to the basic needs of a person, and that is to be loved and accepted. We need more compassion for each other, especially towards those who you know are struggling, but are too proud or too ashamed to accept it. Assure them you are there if they need you. Reassure them through words and actions. Some people's shells are thicker than others, so it may take time to break through, but don't give up on them. They have been shunned many times before. Don't add yourself to the list of people who have given up on them. So be compassionate. It doesn't cost a thing, and doesn't take more than a moment of your day. As we will learn in this episode's story, there wasn't much compassion given to the one who needed it the most. In fact, they were encouraged to end their own life, even though deep down inside they were reluctant to take it. The story of Conrad Roy and Michelle Carter struck many throughout New England. Conrad and Michelle both had their time dealing with mental health issues, and what seemed to be a good pairing because they both understood each other turned into something else. We have to ask ourselves, can one person be held responsible for another person taking their own life? The answer, according to the state of Massachusetts, is yes. In the unprecedented case against Michelle Carter, beginning in June of 2017, the state of Massachusetts argued that Michelle failed to intercede in the suicide of Conrad Roy, who passed away on July 13, 2014, at the age of 18 from carbon monoxide poisoning. In fact, prosecutors accused Michelle of coercing Conrad into doing the act. The proof, they say, was in a series of text messages and phone calls between Conrad and Michelle, dating as far back as 2012. At first, Michelle Carter would attempt to persuade Conrad into seeking help for his depression. But all of this changed when Michelle began to think it would be beneficial for her if Conrad did kill himself. Why this change of heart? Soon we will discuss how Michelle used Conrad's depression and eventual suicide for her own personal gain, and how even after his death, she kept the charade going for months in a vain attempt to seek sympathy and acceptance from people who she considered friends. While we cannot tell Conrad Roy's story without including the role Michelle Carter played in his life and death, I will attempt to tell this story from the perspective of Conrad Roy. I will also include excerpts of the text messages shared between the two, with Kelly Corder and myself playing the roles of Michelle Carter and Conrad Roy. I will say this again. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health issues, please seek help through a licensed professional therapist. If you are having thoughts of harming yourself, call your region's emergency service number immediately. Your life matters. Conrad Roy and Michelle Carter met in Naples, Florida in February of 2012. Michelle was visiting her grandparents, while Conrad was visiting his great aunt. They soon discovered that they were both from Massachusetts, less than 40 miles apart, with Conrad living part-time in his mother's home in Fairhaven and his father's home in Mattapoisett, while Michelle lived in Plainville. They spent the rest of their time together in Florida, riding bikes and walking, and by the end of the trip, both had agreed to keep in touch. Over the next 2 years, the two would see each other in person less than 5 times, but they would communicate numerous times a day, via text, phone call, and email. While it's been stated that Conrad never officially called Michelle his girlfriend to his family or friends, toward the end of Conrad's life, Michelle asked if she would be able to call herself his girlfriend after he passed, to which he agreed. Conrad and Michelle's relationship was unorthodox to begin with, but through their communications, they appeared to be in love with each other, or what two teenagers who have never been in love think being in love is. At first, Conrad and Michelle were very open and supportive of each other, and of their respective mental health challenges, and would help steer the other from making drastic decisions that could have a harmful or permanent effect on their life. In 2014, however, Michelle's role in their relationship changed. Rather than trying to dissuade Conrad from taking his life, she began encouraging him. So as we mentioned in the story, that Conrad and Michelle, they met each other down by chance down in Naples, Florida.
Another Florida story.
In February of 2012. They only lived 40 miles apart, but yet they saw each other less than a handful of times over the 2 years that they were quote unquote in the relationship. Now Conrad, he never went around telling anybody that Michelle was his girlfriend. But Michelle kind of I guess she kind of saw it a little bit more than he did.
I feel like he had to have thought there was more there.
No, yeah, he did. Yeah.
To confide in her,
right?
You know what I mean?
Well,
as much as he did,
there was a little bit in a couple of years where he kind of started backing off a little bit, but then got, you know what I mean? It's kind of up and down kind of relationship. You know what I mean? But you got to think, if you see them less than 5 times in 2 years, what else is going on in your life?
God, wait, you don't remember though back when you were in 7th, 8th grade, before you, when you had your first girlfriend, but it wasn't your first love, you know what I mean? But you would steal the house phone to talk to him.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would, they were all that mattered at that point.
Right.
You had to make sure you were home at 7 to call your girlfriend, quote on. You hung out with, you might have went to the movies twice in the entire time that you were together. You held hands and you thought it was cool. But that's, at that point, that's your whole world.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't think they were at the point where they could be dating every day and seeing each other. It was more like...
No, I mean, I understand that. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm looking at the end result of the story.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like during this 2-year period, what was he lacking in his personal life? Where he, Michelle basically dictated everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't know, like, if you could have just met him and saw the personality traits,
right?
How he acted in school, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't see those things. You're just hearing, and you're like, I kind of get the vibe he wasn't the most popular kid, wasn't the most, you know what I mean? He had definitely had some self-esteem issues.
Right, he had self-esteem issues, but he actually, in some of the videos that he posted of himself, he actually said that he would learn pop culture because that's what things people were talking about. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't know how to communicate with people, so he would learn all the current events and pop culture and like Justin Bieber and like all this other kind of stuff, just so he would have something to talk about with
converse,
right, with people his age. Like, he didn't really feel like he fit. You know what I mean? Which
probably added to his depression and anxiety too.
Right. And it's just like, I don't know, there was nobody, there's nobody else. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too far ahead in the story.
Yeah.
I'm getting too far.
We'll save it for the next chapter.
Yeah, that's alcohol talking, sorry. But we'll go ahead and jump into chapter 2.
The hardest thing for me is to be comfortable in my own skin. Now, I know. A lot of people tell me that I have a lot going for me. I have to be happy. Well, no, you don't have to be happy. Your happiness comes from what your conscious thoughts and well-being. It's you create your own happiness. And by you creating your own happiness, in a sense, you're in a society where you look at someone better off than you, happier, and you want to be jealous and envious of them. It's just subconscious. You just go, when you're depressed, you just go to place to place. Oh yeah, this guy's happy, you just point out, the obvious. But it's not real.
Michelle Carter was born August 11th, 1996, in Plainville, Massachusetts, to Dale and Gail Carter. She didn't have many friends, and she awkwardly tried to include herself in other girls' lives unsuccessfully. To the adults she interacted with, Michelle appeared to be a normal teen girl. She played softball and was voted most likely to brighten your day by her high school classmates. She would be in pictures, smiling alongside other girls. She was a good student, she was said to be polite, and she seemed outgoing. Almost too much. In reality, her inner thoughts did not match this picture-perfect outward persona. She may have seemed like she had a lot of friends, but none of her relationships were deep or meaningful. She was at best an acquaintance to the ones she considered friends. Dr. Peter Bregan, a psychiatrist who testified in Carter's trial for the defense, even called her desperate. She would incessantly text the friends she did have, making her appear needy, and it pushed girls away. Michelle had this unhealthy obsession with Glee and other teen movies and TV shows. She would quote parts of the show to Conrad about how she loved him. In the show Glee, if you're not familiar, the two main actors were dating on and off screen. The boyfriend died from an overdose in a hotel room. Michelle would quote not only lines from the show, but real things that the actress had said in interviews about the death of her boyfriend. Many would say Michelle didn't really know who she was, and would place herself in the heads of these fictitious characters from these shows and movies. She had no real friends, but these characters did, and she wanted to be just like them. When Conrad and Michelle's relationship started, she would try to stop Conrad from trying to commit suicide. She would tell him that she loved him and had told him not to go through with it. Over time, something changed. Some say it was a change in her psychological medication. She had been on Prozac for years before switching to another antidepressant, Celexa, in April of 2014, 3 months before Conrad's death. These types of drugs can impair judgment, wisdom, understanding, love, and empathy, especially in an adolescent brain. Her defense team said that Michelle was involuntarily intoxicated. They believed that Michelle began to think that she could help Conrad get what he wanted, to die painlessly and get to heaven, and then help his family grieve less by understanding them. This neediness and desperation is what many suspect as a motive for pushing Conrad to commit suicide. She knew she would have attention if her boyfriend died. This theory is in a way tested when Michelle herself told people that her boyfriend had gone missing days before he actually died. She started to get some of the attention that she was craving. So she gets a taste of this attention, and it pushes her even more to make Conrad go through with his suicidal plans. She didn't want to appear to be a liar, after all, and all of that attention felt way too good to let go of. Conrad was born September 12, 1995, to Conrad Roy Jr. and Lynn Roy. He has 2 younger sisters, Morgan and Camden. His parents separated when he was 16, and it affected him mentally. He tried to please everyone, and he went out of his way to appease both his mother and his father, and set high expectations for himself. He worked with his father, grandfather, and uncle in the family's marine salvage business, Tucker Roy Machine Towing and Salvage. In the spring of 2014, he earned his captain's license from the Northeast Maritime Institute. In the same year, he graduated on the honor roll from Old Rochester Regional High School in Mattapoisett. He was accepted to Fitchburg State University to study business, which he never got to attend. Conrad was a hardworking, intelligent young man, but he was also very sad and depressed. He had attempted suicide multiple times before. He tried in 2012, right after his parents divorced. His father was physically abusive at times, and his grandfather verbally abused him. He struggled with social anxiety and depression and had seen several therapists and counselors. At the age of 17, he was hospitalized for acetaminophen overdose. In interviews with his family, you could tell that he was truly loved and that they miss him terribly. Despite their issues and fighting, they would do anything to have him back. They were so proud of him, and of his grades, and of his becoming a captain so young. His grandfather was bursting with pride and holding back tears, telling the story about how Conrad walked in with his captain's license. If only he knew how much they truly did love him. Conrad tried to get help. He was on the antidepressant citalopram, but there were warnings on the box that it may increase suicidal thoughts in people under 24. This, paired with the text he got from his girlfriend, someone who he loved and thought loved him, pushed him to complete the suicide attempt. So now that we get a better picture of who Michelle was, she was somebody who herself didn't quite fit in, and she tried really hard to fit in. You know what I mean? Like, she tried to create stories about her life that, you know, would seem interesting to other people.
Yeah, compulsive liar.
Yeah.
Lying to start conversations. I've seen it many times.
Right, but that never really goes very far because people around you can see right through it.
Yeah, you're like,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you know, you have that kid in high school and you're like, oh yeah, I got a girlfriend. She goes to East whatever high school.
East Bay High.
Yeah. Her name is Kelly Kolowski. Or whatever. Whatever her name is. But yeah, you know, it's like, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, you got a girlfriend. All right, buddy. Yeah, you got pictures of her? Oh, no, you don't? Okay.
Yeah, I do. There's stock Google images.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, what? You're dating a supermodel, dude?
Yeah. So that's basically how she is portrayed with people her own age. Now with adults, she's like, well, she's very normal, she's very pleasant, she's very nice, she played sports, but you can start to see where her perception of how life should be is skewed.
I feel like though all of this is just normal teenage girl stuff.
Now she actually like starts getting lost in like a fantasy world. She starts watching TV shows, movies and everything like that. And she gets caught up in the whole romance of it and the fantasy of it.
Yeah, it definitely almost seems like this becomes almost fetishized by her.
Yeah,
that's like the feeling that I get from it.
And like she sees like her favorite show was Glee. No, I don't. Have you ever watched Glee?
A long time ago.
A couple episodes. Right. So I used to have to watch it because my stepdaughters were like obsessed with it. So it wasn't a bad show. I actually kind of liked it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Next thing you're gonna tell me is that you used to watch High School Musical, huh?
Bro,
we're all in this together.
Bro, don't knock it.
Oh, I had the biggest crush on Vanessa Hudgens.
But you know what show?
Dude, remember when her nudes leaked? Oh my god! Oh my god, my mind was blown.
How old was she then?
She was over 18. I was like 19 when that came out. I was young. All right, relax.
All right. Other movie was Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect was good though.
Yeah,
it was good.
That was good.
Yeah.
I like that one. I had to sit down and watch that too.
Amazing that a musical show led to basically convincing someone to kill themselves.
I know.
Jesus.
Yeah. So anyways, all right, back to the story. So like she became obsessed with Glee. And if you're not familiar with Glee, basically it has two main characters. One was like a jock, and the other one was like a nerdy like music band geek or whatever. They ended up coming together and forming this whole like a cappella, whatever band or a group. Now, he died in real life. So
I remember that.
Yeah. He died of a drug overdose. So on the show, they made it out to be this like huge, spectacle or whatever. So they basically focused in on the character of Rachel, who was the girlfriend of Finn, who died. I mean, this went on for this was like a whole special. So Michelle Carter is seeing this, like, oh, well, I have a boyfriend who is struggling.
Yeah.
Now I see all the attention that Rachel is getting.
Yeah.
How can I can get that attention too, so to speak. You know what I mean?
It's almost like Munchausen syndrome, but with your boyfriend over,
right.
You know what I mean, your kids.
Exactly. So around late 2013, 2014, she starts changing, because at the time she was very helpful to Conrad. Conrad, he struggled with his, depression and everything like that. And she was very supportive. She was like, get help, you need to go to your doctor's appointments, you need to take your medicine, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Now with Conrad, his parents split up in 2012, right around the time that he met Michelle. So he was, splitting time between both. Now, his father allegedly was very physical with Conrad. And his grandfather was allegedly also very verbally abusive.
That definitely weren't the feelings kind of family. That's
right.
And that's what he needed.
Yeah, so Conrad didn't really get much from his father and his brother. They loved him, but they're more of like the 70s, 80s kind of love. I love you. Whap!
Yeah.
Don't fuck up. You know what I mean?
Stop crying. Stop crying, boy.
So Conrad, he couldn't really lean towards that side of the family to help him kind of find his way. I think it's kind of common for pretty much a lot of people going through high school. You're trying to figure out who you are. Where do you fit in society? I think it's kind of common, regardless of what.
Yeah, your
where
status.
You see your status is in high school.
The hierarchy of being a shitty teenager.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure that at some point during those 4 years, whether it's sooner or later, at some point you ask yourself, where do I fit in? Am I going to be good enough? You kind of question.
No, yeah, for sure. I agree. I think it doesn't matter what group you're in, what status you're in, where you're sitting at lunch. All that stuff doesn't matter because I think everybody when you're junior year of high school, I wouldn't even say senior, because by senior you just kind of start building that plan to know what you're going to do. Yeah. But like sophomore, junior year of high school, you're definitely, am I going to make it? What am I going to do?
Right.
Especially if you were a mess up like me, who teachers told was going to amount to nothing in life. You know what I mean?
Dude, I stayed back my senior year in high school, so
I had to do summer school a couple times. I definitely had to do summer. I was in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of teachers didn't like me. Not like mean trouble. I was conniving. So, that definitely creeped in my mind. Yeah. Like, what am I gonna just end up?
But I basically what I'm saying is that I can see how somebody during those years where it could go, they can kind of get stuck in that mind frame.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're like eating lunch alone. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have nobody close besides this girl who's texting you every now and again. Right.
So he struggled throughout high school, and he was diagnosed with social anxiety and depression. He went through numerous therapists and counselors and whatnot, and
multiple suicide attempts too.
Yeah. Now the thing that stood out to me, and we kind of like talked about this earlier, was he let out a huge cry for help when he, quote unquote, tried to overdose on
Tylenol.
Basically aspirin, Tylenol. Yeah. And this was a year prior to him actually going through with it.
What's crazy too is I think a lot of people, even like the listeners at home, because I know at least 2 people that I went to high school with tried to OD on Tylenol. You know what I mean? It's a very common cry for help. It's not the way, like whenever you heard people commit suicide, I don't want to talk about that really that much because it's a very touchy subject, especially if listeners have anybody. Right. But usually the first step is a pill overdose, and it's a cry for help. So that right there should have showed that he was at least serious about. Right. You know what I mean?
So now Michelle sees that, because this was like halfway through their relationship. So this was attempted suicide was on 2013. So now I think after this, Michelle starts to see, ooh,
he could do this.
He could do this. And coincide with her whatever, this fantasy that she has in her head that she's going to be whisked away with all these friends and everything if her boyfriend passes away. I think this is like around the time where she kind of transitions from being like the supportive, quote unquote, girlfriend to let's see how I can play this in my favor kind of thing. You know what I mean? So next thing we're going to take a look at is an intimate look into the relationship between Conrad and Michelle through a series of text messages. And you can see how Michelle is now trying to persuade Conrad into ending his life rather than trying to help him here in chapter 3.
I am who I am. Yes, I can develop as a person, be more fluent, articulate, passionate about who I am. Or I can just go home, sit in my basement, and just do nothing about it. Just sit in my sorrows, weep and cry over something that is in the past. Or I can just take it day by day, step by step. I mean, it's going to be difficult to accomplish. But I need to, for personal growth, accomplish this sense of self-pride in myself.
There are thousands of text messages between Michelle and Conrad leading up to Conrad's death. I will provide some of these text messages so you can understand the relationship between these 2 young people. Once again, Kelly Corder and myself are playing the roles of Michelle Carter and Conrad Roy. Before we continue, if you or someone you love is listening to this episode and have or currently are struggling with your mental health, I advise you to please skip through these text messages. These texts begin on July 5th, 8 days before Conrad took his life. Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
Just woke up. You? Why do you seem happy?
Because tonight's the night.
You said that last night and the night before.
I know, but it has to happen tonight. I'll be all alone. Mom and Brian are sleeping over at a friend's house in Rhode Island.
So, yeah, tonight seems like the perfect night. Like you have all night to try different things.
Yes.
Do you think tonight really is the night you're going to do it?
I think.
There's a difference between saying I'm going to try to commit suicide and I am going to commit suicide.
Well, I'm going to try.
So you don't want it bad enough. You already know you're going to fail because part of you wants to fail. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
It's just hard, Michelle.
I know it is.
In the few days leading to Conrad Roy taking his life, the following messages were also exchanged between him and Michelle.
I think your parents know you're in a really bad place. I'm not saying they want you to do it, but honestly, I feel like they can accept it. They know there's nothing they can do. They've tried helping. Everyone's tried. But there's a point that comes to where there isn't anything anyone can do to save you, not even yourself. And you've hit that point, and I think your parents know that you've hit that point. You said your mom saw a suicide thing on your computer, and she didn't say anything. I think she knows it's on your mind, and she's prepared for it. Everyone will be sad for a while, but they'll get over it and move on. They won't be in depression. I won't let that happen. They know how sad you are, and they know that you're doing this to be happy, and I think that they will understand and accept it. They will always carry you in their hearts.
Oh, thank you, Michelle.
They will move on for you because they know that's what you would have wanted. They know you wouldn't want them to be sad and depressed and angry and guilty. They know you want them to live their lives and be happy. So they will for you. You're right. You need to stop thinking about this and just do it because overthinking always kills overthinking.
Yeah, it does. I've been thinking about it for way too long.
Always smile. And yeah, you just have to do it. You have everything you need. There's no way you can fail. Tonight is the night. It's now or never. And if you don't think about it, you won't think about failing. You'll just do it and then think you'll succeed.
That's what I'm talking about. I read so much about failed attempts going wrong that it's gotten me discouraged.
Yeah, exactly. So stop doing that. There is more success than there are failures.
Are you kidding me?
You have to look at it the way that people only fail because they have the same mindset as you, thinking they'll fail.
I really want to believe you.
Why don't you? You can't think about it. You just have to do it. You said you were going to do it. Like, I don't get why you aren't.
I don't get it either. I don't know.
So I guess you just aren't going to do it then. All that for nothing. I'm just confused. Like you were so ready and determined.
I'm going to eventually. I really don't know what I'm waiting for, but I have everything lined up.
Well, I guess just because you say you're going to do it, but you don't. But last night, I know you really wanted to do it, and I'm not mad. Well, I mean, kind of, I guess. Just because you always say you're going to do it. But you don't. But last night, I knew you really wanted to, and I'm not mad. You're not joking about this or bullshitting me, right? I just want to make sure that you're being serious. Like, I know you are, but I don't know. You always say you're going to do it, but you never do. I just want to make sure tonight's the real thing. Don't do it in the driveway. You'll be easily found. Find a spot.
I don't know. I'm thinking of a public place. If I go somewhere private, they may call the cops.
Well, then someone will notice you. Do you think you'll get caught? I mean, it only takes 30 minutes, right? Just park your car and sit there. It'll take like 20 minutes. It's not even a big deal.
July 13th, 2014. The day of Conrad's suicide. Michelle begins texting at 4:07 a.m.
Conrad. Hey, you there?
Hey, sorry, I fell asleep.
It's okay. Why haven't you done it yet, though?
I'm too messed up to.
What are you talking about?
My head.
You can't think about it. You just have to do it. You said you were going to do it. Like, I don't get why you aren't.
I don't get it either. I don't know.
So I guess you just aren't going to do it then. All that for nothing. I'm just confused. Like, you were so ready and determined.
I'm going to eventually. I really don't know what I'm waiting for, but I have everything lined up.
No, you're not, Conrad. Last night was it. You kept pushing it off and saying that you'll do it, but you'll never do. It's always going to be that way if you don't take action. You're just making it harder on yourself by pushing it off. You just have to do it. Do you want to do it now?
Is it too late? I don't know. It's already late outside. I'm going to go back to sleep. Love you. I'll text you tomorrow.
No, it's probably the best time now because everyone's sleeping. Just go somewhere in your truck. And no one's really out right now just because it's an awkward time. If you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. And you say you'll do it tonight, but you probably won't. Love you.
Thank you. Conrad Roy falls asleep. 5 hours later, at 9:03 a.m., Michelle picks the conversation back up.
Are you awake?
Yes.
Are you gonna do it today?
Yes.
Like, in the daytime?
Should I?
Yeah, it's less suspicious. You won't think about it as much, and you'll get it over with instead of waiting until the night.
Yeah, then I will. But, like, where? Like, I could go in any enclosed area.
Go in your truck and drive in a parking lot somewhere, to park or something. Do it now, like early.
Didn't we say this was suspicious?
No, I think night is more suspicious. A kid sitting in his car, just turn on the radio and do it. It won't be suspicious. It won't take long.
All right. I'm taking Holly for a walk.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm like this.
Sometimes things happen, and we never have the answers why.
Like, why am I so hesitant lately? Like 2 weeks ago, I was willing to try everything, and now I'm worse, like really bad. And I'm not following through. It's eating me inside.
You're so hesitant because you keep overthinking it and pushing it off. You need to just do it, Conrad. The more you push it off, the more it will eat at you. You're ready and prepared. All you have to do is turn the generator on, be free and happy. No more pushing it off, no more waiting.
You're right.
If you want it as bad as you say you do, it's time to do it today.
Yep, no more waiting.
Okay, I'm serious. Like, you can't even wait until tonight. You have to do it when you get back from your walk.
Thank you.
For what?
Still being here.
I would never leave you. You're the love of my life, my boyfriend, my heart. I'd never leave you.
Aw.
I love you.
Love you too.
When will you be back from your walk?
Like 5 minutes.
Okay, so are you gonna do it?
I guess.
Well, I want you to be ready and sure.
I don't know. I'm freaking out again. I'm overthinking.
I thought you wanted to do this. This time is right, and you're ready. You just need to do it. You can't keep living this way. You just need to do it like you did last time, and not think about it, and just do it, babe. You can't keep doing this every day.
I do want to, but like I'm freaking out for my family, I guess. I don't know.
Conrad, I told you, I'll take care of them. Everyone will take care of them and make sure they won't be alone, and people will help them get through it. We talked about this. They will be okay and accept it. People who commit suicide don't just think this much. They just do it.
I know. Thinking just drives me more crazy.
Exactly. You need to just do it, Conrad. You can't keep doing this every day.
Okay, I'm going to do it today.
Do you promise?
I promise, babe. I have to now.
Like right now?
Where do I go?
You can't break a promise. And just go in a quiet parking lot or something.
Okay.
Go somewhere you know you won't get caught. You can find a place. I know you can. Are you doing it now?
Still have no clue.
Not finding a place to go isn't an excuse.
I know where to go.
Where?
A park and ride.
Ride?
That's what it's called. It's like a parking lot.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Are you going now?
Either that or go to the beach.
Why would you go to the beach?
Well, that's where my mom's going.
I thought you were just gonna do it.
My mom's making me go. When I get home, I'm going to do it.
Okay, promise? I'm going kayaking anyways.
Ha, you love kayaking.
Yep, so something I wish we could have done.
Make sure you take your son kayaking.
Of course I will.
I'm in the worst pain right now. Like, it's unbearable.
I think it's time to do it now then. Do you agree? Conrad? Please answer me.
I'm still at the beach.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm determined.
I'm happy to hear that.
I'm ready.
Good, because it's time, babe. You know that. When you get back from the beach, you gotta do it. You're ready. You're determined. It's the best time.
Okay, I will.
Are you back?
No more thinking.
Yes, no more thinking. You just need to do it. No more waiting.
On my way back. I know where to go now.
Where?
A parking lot. There's going to be no cars there at 9, so that's when I'll be found.
Okay, perfect. When will you be home?
10 minutes?
That's perfect.
Okay. And, well, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to kill anyone else with me.
You won't.
Well, when they open the door, they won't know it's odorless and colorless.
You're overturning. They will see the generator and realize you breathed in the CO.
So, should I keep it in the back seat or front?
In front. You can write it on a piece of paper and tape it on, saying carbon monoxide or something if you're scared.
I was thinking that, but someone might see it before it actually happens.
Well, wait, the generator is going to be on because you'll be passed out, so they'll know you use carbon poisoning. It's not loud, is it?
Not really.
Okay, good. Are you going to do it now?
I'm home.
Okay. What?
I don't know. I'm stressing.
You're fine. It's going to be okay. You just got to do it, babe. You can't think about it.
Okay, I got this.
Yes, you do. I believe in you. Did you delete the messages?
Yes, but you're going to keep messaging me?
I will until you turn on the generator.
Okay, well, I'm bringing my sisters for ice cream.
So will you do it when you get back?
Yep, I'll go right there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm procrastinating.
Yeah, I know. Are you back?
Yep.
So it's time.
Oh, it's bedtime.
Are you going to do it now?
I just don't know how to leave them, you know?
Just say you're going to the store or something.
Like, I want them to know that I love them.
They know. That's one thing they definitely know. You're overthinking.
I know I'm overthinking. I've been overthinking for a while now.
I know. You just have to do it like you said. Are you going to do it now?
I haven't left yet.
Why?
Leaving now.
Okay. You can do this.
Okay, I'm almost there.
July 13th, 2014, 6:25 p.m. This was the last text message before Conrad took his life. There were 2 phone calls that were placed after these texts. The first, Conrad and Michelle spoke for 43 minutes, presumably once Conrad gets to the back parking lot of the Kmart in Fairhaven and prepares for his suicide. The second call was 46 minutes where Conrad starts to freak out once he feels the carbon monoxide poisoning taking effect. He gets out of the truck. This, according to the state of Massachusetts, is when Michelle Carter tells Conrad Roy to get back in the truck and end his life. She stays on the phone and listens to Conrad take his last breath, dying from carbon monoxide poisoning. 3 hours later, 3 hours later, she sends the following text messages to him, presumably to cover her tracks, knowing full well Conrad is dead.
Please answer me. I'm scared. Are you okay? I love you. Please answer.
Conrad needed someone to help him, to tell him not to go through with it, to tell him that he is loved, to tell him that his life matters. Sadly, the only person Conrad felt he had was Michelle, the one who was encouraging him to get back in the truck to finish the job. She could have stopped him, but she didn't, and she stayed on the phone to make sure he went through with it.
Such a hard chapter, man. Such a hard chapter. God, the amount of cries for help he even says in the text message with the person who's trying to persuade him to do it is it's infuriating. Like this is where I would throw Michelle off a bridge. Like I wouldn't care at all.
Yeah. Well, throwing off a bridge is a good way of putting it, yes.
And from a parent's standpoint, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because it's like, dude, he like you said at the end of the chapter, he only needed someone to tell him he was loved.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That was it.
Now, I kind of associate this to an extreme version of bullying, okay?
Yeah, I would say.
Where I absolutely despise bullying. Anytime I see a video or anything of someone bullying, like, I want that person dead.
How were you?
Know what I mean?
How were you growing up, though? I'm not saying were you a bully. I'm saying like if you saw bullying in school or be like as young Davey.
Young Davey. Well,
did you stop it? Were you? Because I mean, I'll be honest. I always just turned a cheek. You know what I mean? I wasn't the guy who got in.
This is where the alcohol probably shouldn't be a part of this podcast, because when you ask me questions like this, you're gonna be opening up a bucket of fucking worms, yeah. So Davey lived multiple lives when he was a child.
Oh, okay. So you were Ted Bundying it through life right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Davey, when he was younger, would wear hand-me-down clothes and was not part of the cool kids. So young Davey would get bullied a lot. It wasn't until probably 7th, 8th grade where
you got your growth spurt.
Davey began to play football and made some changes in his life and was now accepted.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been on both ends of the spectrum where I have been bullied and I've seen bullying outside of myself, and every single time, yes, I would stop it. Long answer to a short question.
No, I mean, hey, it's insight in a young Davey's life.
So it's just like kind of like when I see a bully, like there's a serious like fucking hate that I feel for that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I regret. Like you always, everybody looks back and regrets certain situations. Yeah. I was never a bully. I didn't bully people, but it was more like I never.
It's not your business.
I never. Yeah, it was more of like not my business. Just kept walking. Right. That's how I went. That's how I made it through high school. You know what I mean? Not my business. You know what I mean? I'm on my own path. Sorry, buddy. And I regret it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I saw that. There's everybody sees some messed up stuff when you're young.
I don't know, but to me, she is the bully. She's pressuring him. She's I don't know, because there's
it wasn't even, it was aggressively pressuring.
Right.
Aggressive.
Right. And he is
Conrad. Yup. You do it. You thinking about it? Stop basically saying I'm topping a pussy.
Yeah.
Like fucking
bitch, leave me the fuck alone.
Hell.
Like shit. Now, like reading through these things, it just angers me because he's like, oh, I don't know if I want to,
Yeah.
She's like, well, you said you were gonna do it. You're never gonna do it. You're never gonna, she starts fucking nagging. He's like, well, yeah, I will do it. No, whatever. You said that yesterday.
Stop being a fucking liar.
Yeah, It's like, oh my god, I want to punch her square in her fucking unibrow. Fuck.
She does have a unibrow.
She's fucking ugly as fuck. But anyway. No, fuck her. Fuck her.
Yes.
And the thing that like drives me fucking insane, and this is like the key to the whole fucking thing, and God, I wish I could go back in time, and I wish I could be there in that situation, is when he gets out of the truck and he panics, and she's on the phone with him at the time.
Yeah.
And she's like, get back in the truck.
Oh.
Get back in the truck. Like right there, like regardless of talking about it. Yes, I want to kill myself. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, I want to do this. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to like that. That's all one thing. That's whatever. Okay, that's obviously an issue. You need to take care of it. Take care of it. Whatever. When you are doing it and you back out of it, that tells you he does not want to fuck. Deep down inside, he does not want to die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
He's crying for help. He needs help. And this fucking bitch is on the phone. Get back in the fucking truck, Conrad.
Yeah.
Get back in the fucking truck. Oh my God. I want to stab her square in the fucking eyeball.
Yeah. And I think that, definitely a shout out to everybody who's listening and all that stuff. If you're feeling something, if you're going through some shit, doesn't matter. Don't ever rely on one person.
No.
Seek help.
Yep.
call a hotline, do whatever you need to do at that point, because you are loved, you're wanted.
Yes, 100%.
And if it doesn't feel like it,
I can tell you, I've lost people that way, and there is an enormous void that will never be filled again.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's the hardest part. You think that you're doing people a favor at that point. You're
like,
not.
I'm just a burden.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's so sad because you're not. You're not. You're not a burden.
Nope.
So at this point, she's completely complacent in his death.
Yes.
100%. There's no backing out. You have contributed to his suicide.
And so now, in the next chapter, we will see what the state of Massachusetts feels about Michelle and her text messages to Conrad. Criminal AF will be back after this quick break.
What I am doing is I'm looking at myself so negatively. Looking at myself, minuscule little particle in the face of this earth. It's no good. Trash. Will never be successful. Never have a life. Never have kids. Never learn. Because depression can mean you don't like yourself. And the sooner I like myself, the better I'm going to be. Like, I have a lot going. I do have a lot going for me. Like, I'm like a fucking captain. I just got a job from the Boston Duck Tours to captain their boat. Like, that's a huge accomplishment. To be a captain. Listen, I just have to get the cobwebs out. Turn the gears. The gears need to be turning. Turn them gears. That's what I gotta do. Cause look at me. I got nice teeth. I got a nice smile. I'm introverted, nice and caring. That's some benefits. I'm a nice kid. I have a lot to offer someone. But it comes to a point where I'm just too nice.
Why did Michelle demand that Conrad take his life? Attention. Michelle posted many times on Facebook about how her boyfriend had committed suicide. She posted about how she missed him. She started a baseball fundraiser in Conrad's name, in her hometown, 40 minutes away from where Conrad lived. Many believe this fundraiser should have been held in Conrad's hometown, so it would be easier for his family and friends to attend. Michelle argued against it. Not long after Conrad's death, the police went through his phone and saw almost immediately the text from Michelle. These text messages disturbed the investigators. It was soon after that investigators obtained a search warrant. They visited Michelle at school and took her phone. In 2015, she was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter, and her trial began 2 years later in 2017. Her defense talked a lot about her med change and how that affected her. They said it clouded her brain and she was enmeshed in a delusion. She was unable to form intent because she was so grandiose, Dr. Bregan testified. He tried to show that his suicide made her snap to reality, even if only briefly. She texted Conrad a day after the suicide saying, "Did you do something? Conrad, I love you so much. Please tell me this is a joke. I'm sorry, I didn't think you were being serious, Conrad. Please don't leave us like this." 2 months later, she also texted Conrad to tell him that she raised $2,300 from the baseball fundraiser she put together. Dr. Bregan stated that she imagines him looking down upon her. Could her medication really cloud her judgment that much? Or is she texting these things after the fact to try to save face and aid in her trial? It's hard to say. Psychological medications are powerful, but at some point, doesn't some part of her brain kick in and make her question her words, the way she is behaving? Some could also argue that being a mostly online relationship, Michelle could have viewed Conrad as some character from one of her movies, that he wasn't real and that she was playing a part, and didn't realize the weight that her words held. They had only met 5 times in the 2 years they had been a couple. Conrad's family didn't even know they were dating. They just thought they were friends because they never saw each other. On June 5th, 2017, Michelle Carter waived the right to have a trial by jury. Judge Lawrence Moniz is to be the one to decide Michelle's future. On June 16th, 2017, Michelle Carter was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. He described her behavior as reckless. She was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, with 15 months served and the rest suspended. She was also sentenced to 5 years probation. After nearly 2 years of unsuccessful court appeals, Carter began her sentence in 2019. And in January 2020, she was released early from prison for good behavior. She had been a model inmate who stayed out of trouble and that she participated in jail programs. She was a part of the Bible study, and she worked in the kitchen where she got along with all of the inmates. Michelle's attorney says that she is remorseful and that she has come to grips with it and that she understands. She has declined to speak to any media and never spoke or testified in her trial, so we've never heard her part of the story in her own words. For Conrad Roy, he had so much going for him. He was determined and motivated. He had a family that loved him. He could have had a great life, but we, or his family, will never see that happen. His life was cut short, long before it should have been. He will be deeply missed for the rest of his family's life. It's sad, but when a person is depressed, they don't see the good, or they see the good as not good enough. The sadness, emptiness, loneliness outweighs any of the good. People try to reassure you, to tell you they love you, to tell you that they wouldn't want to live without you, but your pain is too heavy. So when someone you love, and that is supposed to love you, eggs you on in these fragile moments, it just confirms your negative thoughts. You're drowning already, and instead of throwing you a life vest, they step on your head to push you under even more. Michelle may not have physically killed Conrad, but she didn't throw him a life vest either. That is not love. Conrad deserved love. Michelle was living in a fantasy, and Conrad was just playing a role. Yes, her meds could have played a huge part. Her delusions and intoxication. There could have been small moments of clarity where she could have told his mother or sister what was happening. She pushed him and pushed him to follow through with ending his life. No person with a conscience does that. Even Dr. Bregan was dumbfounded as to why she acted the way she did. Her own doctor. Conrad will never get to tell his side of the story, but we can learn from it and try to prevent it from happening again. His mother, Lynn, resolved to change the law. In most states, there are statutes to criminalize suicide coercion. Massachusetts is not one of those states. Lynn proposed legislation dubbed Conrad's Law. It would impose a punishment of up to 5 years for anyone convicted of pressuring another to take their own life. She hopes that this law will act as a deterrent to prevent another person from losing their life. Everything that Conrad Roy ever was or ever will be is lost. If you or someone you know is thinking about taking their own life, you are not alone. In the United States, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. The Trevor Helpline, support designed for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth and young adults. 866-4U-TREVOR. That's 866-488-7386.
All right, I got to start off with 2.5 years for manslaughter. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. She deserves so much more. She might as well put in, you know what I mean? She might as well have put him in that car and,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean?
Drove him.
Held him there.
Held him there.
At gunpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's sickening. And getting on a good behavior, it's like that horrible story that you hear so often, where they don't deserve. Of course, she was a model inmate, Bible study and this and that. Like, you know, she was going to be like that. Anything she could to get out of there.
Absolutely. Now, the thing that kind of stands out to me, and it's a quote that I believe Conrad's aunt had made, and she had said that Michelle Carter did not take part in Conrad's death. She was the sole reason, which you know, I'm not saying that he didn't have his issues or whatnot, but she 100% spearheaded this. Yeah. You know, when there were numerous times in all those conversations where, you know, he was like, well, I don't know, you know, I'm worried about my parents. I'm worried about this. You know, what if a normal person would be like, yeah, you're right. Your parents love you. Your parents are going to miss you. Your parents, you know, and she's like, no, your parents will be fine. They'll be all right. How
do you feel about the defense's strategy to get her manslaughter by saying that the medication was the reason this happened? And you gotta love lawyers. They're such like, especially defense lawyers. They'll find a needle in a haystack. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. No, I don't believe it. I don't buy into any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, did she have her own issues? Absolutely.
Sure.
She did. But
being on Prozac doesn't convince you to kill, like, have you convince someone to kill themselves.
But the thing that, like, I want to know, like, how did the authorities know to check the text messages? You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. So, like, because obviously we all know that our cell phone companies keep records of everything that
right. So no matter if you delete them or not, you know.
Yeah, like, they will have a list.
They have your
Especially if it's subpoenaed, they'll release them in 2 seconds.
100%. Yeah. So how did the police? Did they go through Conrad's phone? Did they how did they get to Michelle?
Pulling the records, you're saying?
You're right. Now, I'm sure at some point during the conversation, she's like, "Get back in the truck, Conrad. Make sure you get back in the truck. And delete your text messages, please. Yeah. Before you die, just delete your text messages." You know, so I wonder if, like, there were still some messages left on his phone.
Yeah, there could have been something. There had to have been something on the phone that triggered them to be like, "Whoa!" Yeah. Like even back past previous conversations or something.
Right.
That made them go, "Whoa!" Yeah. And pulled the full transcript.
Pulled the whole thing. Yeah. Because she, like, after he did it, she was on the phone with him when he died. He took his last breath. She knew he was dead. Yep. And then, like, you know, a minute later, she was like, "Text me. I miss you. I love you. Please text me." You know, pretending like she didn't know what the fuck was going on. And
is this a joke?
Yeah. And then, like, the next day, she's like, "Conrad, did you do something? Conrad, I love you so much. Please tell me this is a joke. I'm so sorry. I didn't think you were serious about killing yourself, Conrad. Please don't leave us like this." Bitch, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, stop trying to save your ass.
No offense to the other bitches out there. But no, just kidding. But you know, you see,
sexy bitches.
Yeah, sexy motherfuckers. But you know what I mean? It's like she kept up this charade for months. Yeah. Months. Having a fucking...
And then having a charity baseball tournament in her town.
Her town.
not his.
Her town.
Yeah. Talk about selfish.
Yeah. That it's just... And they're like, wouldn't it make sense to have it in his town where all his family and friends... No. Be right here. Make sure you guys all help me plan it.
Yeah, the posts on social media. Yeah. Like she wasn't directly involved in this.
Right.
It's almost like it's like sociopath. Right. Like she clearly shows tendencies of being a sociopath.
she texts one of her friends, "I think I may have had a part in Conrad's death." You think you may have? You drove him to it. Fuck.
Now that's interesting because is there another charge other than manslaughter that you could give for a situation? Like, I feel like this is very...
Well, this is like the first.
You know, that's what I mean. It's a very, like, groundbreaking criminal case at this point. Because at this point, I mean, there's a lot of... We hear stories about cyberbullying and the people, like, kids committing suicide because of cyberbullying and you know what I mean? Kids online bullying them. But they don't die because of a specific person is telling them to. They say, like, a random friend might be like, "Yo, go kill yourself." You know what I mean? Like,
this guy,
but there's not. It's like this. There's a connection to this one person just egging. And
someone who Conrad looked at as someone who loved him, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, this isn't like some vicious person that, you know, is beating the shit out of somebody every single day.
It's someone that you trust.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone that you can find in. You're talking to him about suicide.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, not easy to do in general.
Right. So yeah. So I don't know. I think it's definitely more than manslaughter. What's the charge higher than manslaughter?
It'd be murder 3.
Murder 3. Where's our buddy on freaking Instagram to give us all this legal advice?
I was gonna say, yeah.
We need Follow Flint over there on Instagram to give us some legal advice on what this would be.
Yeah. Yeah. I just know
It's
in my
definitely
deep
more.
heart,
It's definitely more than manslaughter.
Yeah.
Manslaughter, I would say. But that's what she got, and that's the way it stands. That's the precedent.
Yeah,
So.
anybody who knows, let's open it up. Open a poll. Comment on the episode.
Yep.
Talk to us on Patreon. What is your take? Do you think it was well deserved? Murder 1, murder 2, murder 3, manslaughter? I don't know.
I don't know either. But she definitely deserved something, and she got it. Probably not what she deserved. What was it? A year and a half? She was in jail.
Yes.
With good behavior.
With good behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 2.5 year sentence.
So that'll do it for this episode of I Love You to Death. Just a reminder before you go, if you liked what you heard, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review. And don't forget to become one of the debauched on Patreon. Visit criminalafpodcast.com/support. There are 5 tiers and you can join as little as $2 a month for general support. Those who select the $5 tier and above will get all of our content.
All of it.
5-Minute Murder, Random AF, Dreadful AF, as well as all the other content we throw in there, like downloadable scripts, etc. Or if you want to become a barista and buy us 1 or more coffees to help support the podcast with a one-time donation, again, just go to criminalafpodcast.com/support or follow the link in the episode description. Links to our socials, merchandise, and more in the episode description, or you can visit criminalafpodcast.com for all of your criminal AF needs. Signing off from Studio Chloroform. Keep your head on a swivel and take care until next time. Now give me our theme music. See ya. Executive producers for this episode are Christine Rivera, Beth Davis, and Dusty J. Hicks. Associate producers are Paul Hodge, Noah Schultz, Brooke Morgan, Bethany Cooper, and Terry Burke Wolin. Producers are Stephen Day, Trent Gobble, J.D. Driscoll, Devin Dean, Chantal Seislick, Jan O'Donnell, Jessica Lloyd, Lissa Perello, Jenny Crawford, Alicia Knight, Laura Shin, Maria Saline, and Beth Esselman.